I was interacted by a person who is going to Swadhyay parivaar, and they came to my home last week, and they had image, so made me curious, and I went to visit their place, and there was a idols or pictures of worship. So surprisingly, there were not just single. There were like four idols, and they were Yogeshwar Bhagwan, Parvati ji. In her lap there was a Ganesh ji and Shiva. Uh, beside when I looked at some detailed underneath the Shiva, they had some steps, some text written on it, and underneath the Yogeshwar Bhagwan, they have some text written on it. I could have figured out that underneath the Yogeshwar Bhagwan there was a Nauda Bhakti, but underneath the Shiva, I was not sure what it was. So that made me curious, and I studied and researched. And then I found out that those were like seven stages of knowledge written there. So if a Swadhyay person wants to know what are those seven stages, let's talk. So the seven stages of knowledge are considered one of the main concepts in yoga philosophy. So yoga is known for its physical health benefit. Often when we talk about yoga, what we refer to is solely the physical practice of yogasanas. And when thinking about the underlying philosophy, one of the first concepts that comes to mind are the energy, body, and the seven chakras. However, the ancient philosophy behind these popular concepts of yoga have so much more to offer. Essentially, the practice of yoga is a holistic science, surpassing mere physical exercise and including our entire life and lifestyle. If one chooses so, yoga is a complex and well-defined spiritual path with the goal of self-growth and eventually self-realization. So here it says yoga is not just an exercise or not just a breathing exercise, but it's a set of different tools: yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, dhyan, dharana, samadhi, etc. Now, there are eight limbs of Raj Yoga, they are called, and the action to take in order to reach the ultimate goal of yoga. The seven stages of knowledge describe the inner development that a spiritual practitioner goes through. So, eight limbs of Raj Yoga deals with actions to get the goal of yoga, and the seven stages of knowledge describes the inner development. So, and they are described in Yoga Vasistha, an ancient dialogue between Maharishi Vasistha and his disciple Lord Ram. So Vasistha and Ram Samvad, and it gives like identification of different stages of knowledge in spiritual path. Um, a spiritual seeker who is called like sadhak, and sadhak has to attain a knowledge, and to get the knowledge, there are seven stages described. So before complete liberations, every yogi goes through these stages of development. And the knowledge path starts at the low level of awareness, which is called subhecha, towards samadhi, the highest level of knowledge. So subhecha to samadhi is totally called subhecha to samadhi, and the highest level of knowledge is samadhi. But how can you know where you are? The Vedas have explained the seven stages of knowledge in a comprehensive way, in order to give the spiritual seeker a tool to measure his or her progress. So let's see each one by one, and then we can go into detail. So stage one is called Subhecha, which is written on the Shiv Bhagwan's underneath the Shiv Bhagwan's steps. The first steps listed is Subhecha, the meaning of the longing for the truth. So there are four pre-stages of Subhecha, and the stage can only be completed after all pre-stages are achieved. So to achieve Subhecha, there are four different things that we need to attain. So let's look at those four. First one is Vivek, so the power of discrimination. So this level of awareness is achieved when the spiritual seeker is completely aware of the difference between real and unreal, permanent and impermanent. Now, what is unreal? When the form or matter of a thing can change, it is considered to be unreal. So all material things are unreal as their form or shape can be changed. For example, a tree can be cut and converted into a table or chair. What is real? When the form or matter of thing cannot change, it is considered to be real. As per the Vedas, only the soul is permanent and therefore real. For example, when a human being dies, it's only the body which goes back into the five elements, but the soul continues to take a new body. Second is Vairagya, dissipation of the unreal. Once the seeker achieves Vivek, once we get the Vivek, or we understand the Vivek, or we got the Vivek, now the interest should be going to temporary things, diminishes and slowly fades away. So no attachment to belongings or people. For example, when a family member dies, a person may get sad about it, but is still aware of the circle of life and death. And then Sat Sampat, so mastery of six senses. When the seeker masters his six senses, like those are hear, touch, see, taste, smell, and intuition, reaches the level of Sat Sampat. The five senses help us to get information into the brain, and the intuition is the information we get without using any of the five senses. We are supposed to use these senses only for knowing and input, but we, due to lower nature, begin to indulge in these senses. When we master our senses, we don't react anymore to the senses we experience. For example, if we smell garbage, but we don't have any reaction with this information, we don't like it and we don't dislike it. And then next one is mumukshutva, so deep desire for liberation. In this level, we cherish the deep desire for the place where you go after liberation. That place is moksha. Liberation is also called nirvana. At this level, the seeker understands the misery of the life forms and thus wants to get liberated from the circle of life and death. After reaching the stage of mumukshutva, the sadhak has now developed subhecha. So in subhecha, there are these four things that comes into it: vivek, vairagya, satsampat, and mumukshutva. That comprise of subhecha. Now, as we move on, second step is vicharana. So the right inquiry. So in this stage, the seeker wants to find the right information and the right teaching. He wants to get to moksha and thinks about how to get there all the time. He reflects on his past life, his current life, and the lives of those who have attained moksha and tries to find the answers. That is called vicharana. So vicharana is related to thinking, not just thinking, it's right inquiry. The third stage is called Tanumansa. So the meaning of Tanumansa is bringing the focus to the one. Once the seeker finds out the way to get to moksha, he is strongly focused on the path of getting to the moksha. There are no other thoughts left, and he is only focused on how to reach his goal and the goal itself. So Tanumansa is mainly focusing. So whatever is the goal, which is moksha, and we have to strongly focus on that path. The next is Sattvapati. So Sattvapati is the attainment of purity. So at this level, the seeker becomes sattvic while following the divine path towards moksha. So when we are on a journey to moksha, we have to be pure. After diligently following this path, he becomes pure. So when we follow this path, we slowly get purification and we can become pure. In this stage, the sadhak sometimes acquires siddhis, so astral power. So if you have seen lots of siddha purushes, they have different powers that they can do unusual things. If he says unaffected by these powers, then he will be able to enter the fifth stage. So once they get these powers, they should not get attached with it. If they can detach from that, then they can enter the fifth stage. The fifth stage is called Asham Shakti. So it's called the ultimate victory. So victory. So final. Um, uh, in this stage, the person becomes unaffected by anything, and he has mastered his ego. So he has a control on his aham, which is called ego. So there are no longer senses uncontrolled. For example, eating or drinking or using hot water just for satisfaction. The seeker is pure and may receive astral powers like walking on water or healing. There's no ego left. And if it does turn out, the person falls back to level zero. So there is a very big chance of getting like fallen from this stage. This stage is like a very critical. Once attained, the ego may take over and it makes you fall. That's the fifth stage. The sixth one is Padartha Bhavana, but or Padartha. It's written like a Padartha Bhavini, which means like seeing the truth beyond Maya. So now we are crossing the layer of Maya. So in this stage, seeker sees the reality behind everything. So whatever you see, like in Bhagavad Gita, it's something like Sankhya Yoga. So whatever you see, um, if you see a tree instead of chair, he sees an animal instead of a leather boot. He is aware of the fact that a dead body is just the outside part of a human being. The soul is the real self. This person sees the true beyond the illusion. So, very important is like Maya Mitam Tarantite. So, Bhagwan tells Krishna Arjun in Bhagavad Gita that aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. So to get these, I think we need a guru or Bhagwan. So in Swaminarayan Sampradaya, they call it Akshar Brahma and Parabrahma. In other religions, they call different names to their guru. But the short story is you need a guru to cross the Maya. So once you attain Padartha Bhavini, is the sixth step. And the final step is called Turiyaga. So other word is Turiya, and it's separation. It means that it's separation. So this is the stage of perpetual samadhi. In this stage, the karma is finished and the seeker is almost ready to be liberated, to be released from the perpetual circle of life and death. So Turyaga is a final stage of Gnan. So if you attain a Gnan of self, who you are, like a Jeev Jagat Jagdish relations, then yeah, Turyaga is the final stage where you separate from your attachments and liberate it. So when you liberate, you need to attach somewhere else, which is Almighty or Parabrahma or yeah. So but you are liberated from the circle of life and death, and you get the eternal place in divine abode of God. Some call it Akshardham, some call it heaven, some call it, yeah, depending on their knowledge. So, and mastering this seven stage of knowledge is not something like can accomplished in a week or two. It's a process that can take years, even decades, and that requires a lot of patience, willpower, and devotion. And you need a hand holding, so a guru or some. So these were the seven stages that were underneath Shiva. I found this material from Google, and it was by Dr. Ram Jain. He has a PhD, and they have a program called the Four Vedas or the Principle of Karma and others. So one can look into that. I will put the link into the description if one wants. So uh, one can read in it. Thank you very much. And hopefully all the Swadhyayas out there may want to listen this into Gujarati. So put a comment there if you want to listen this into Gujarati, and I can try to translate it for you. Um, Jai Swaminarayan, Jai Yogeshwar, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gayatri, whoever, whatever you are. Thanks. I was